They say love can drive you mad, but what if love isn't human at all? I always know when he's near. The air thickens, like the world itself holds its breath, waiting. Even the night sounds, dogs barking, the hum of street lamps, go silent for him. And then, I hear them. The footsteps. Soft, steady, deliberate. Never rushed. Never too close. No one else seems to hear them. Not the couple laughing as they pass me on the sidewalk. Not the cashier locking up the corner store. Their ears are deaf to the rhythm I've memorized, the quiet pattern that shadows my every move. But I hear him. I always hear him. At first, I thought it was harmless. Maybe even sweet. Someone caring enough to follow me home, to watch me when the world grew too dark. Someone who didn't want me to feel the sting of loneliness anymore. It made me feel chosen. Special. And when the night pressed too heavily on my chest, I would imagine him back there in the darkness, devoted, unseen, his gaze fixed only on me. Not a stranger. Not a threat. But something more. It felt like love. And love always finds a way to get closer. He's shy, I tell myself. That must be it. That's why he doesn't come too close. That's why he never speaks. But I can feel him. When I whisper into the night, the air seems to lean in, heavy and expectant. My words hang too long, as if something catches them before they can fade. He doesn't answer, never answers, but I know he listens. He always listens. Sometimes, when I pass a darkened window, I glimpse myself smiling without meaning to, my cheeks flushed as though his eyes burn into me. My reflection looks different when I think of him, brighter, alive. And sometimes, I swear, there's another shape lingering just behind my shoulder in the glass. Watching. Breathing. Still. But that doesn't scare me. It thrills me. Because no one else has ever watched me so closely. No one else has stayed so long. At night, when the house is quiet, I can hear the boards creak softly under footsteps that aren't mine. They circle the bed, slow, measured. Sometimes the mattress dips, almost imperceptible, as though he leans closer to see me dreaming. And when I wake to the dark, my lips already parted, it feels like I've been whispering to him in my sleep. He never answers. But silence is still something. Because love grows in silence, doesn't it? And silence can last forever. But then, things started to shift. It began small. My bedroom door, opening by itself in the night. Just a few inches at first, like a careful hand testing the air. I told myself it was the wind. Or the old hinges. But the sound was too deliberate, slow, dragging, almost like it was savoring the motion. Then the clock. Always stopping at 3:07 a.m. Never 3:06. Never 3:08. Always 3:07. I would wake to its frozen hands, the silence of its tick-tock swallowed whole. That was when the house felt the heaviest. When the shadows seemed to stretch too far, like they were trying to reach me. Sometimes, I woke to the sound of breathing. Not my own. Slow. Damp. Right beside me, hot enough to fog my skin though no lips touched it. The weight of someone lying next to me was so real that I would roll toward the warmth. But there was nothing. At least, nothing I could see. Once, in the bathroom, I caught him. Not fully. Not the way I wanted. But in the black window above the sink, as I leaned over the basin, brushing my teeth. A figure. Tall. Thin. His head bent wrong, cocked too far to the side, as if the neck had snapped and never healed. I froze, toothpaste foaming down my chin. My heart should have pounded, but it didn't. It fluttered. Because he'd shown me a piece of himself. And that meant he trusted me. I smiled at the glass. And whispered, I can wait. The photographs came next. They were slipped under my door, one by one, always when I wasn't looking. The first was harmless, a faded print of me as a child, balloon in hand at a fair. I hadn't seen that picture in years, and yet here it was, its corners yellowed, its surface worn soft like fingertips had traced it again and again. The next was from college. Me asleep at my desk, hair spilling across my books. No one had been in that room but me. No one had a camera. Yet there it was. And then, the newer ones. Me in my kitchen, washing dishes. Me curled in bed, mouth slightly open, hair draped across my pillow. Me in the shower, hand pressed against fogged glass, blurred but unmistakably intimate. Every photo was taken from angles that made no sense, inside locked rooms, behind closed curtains, from heights that weren't possible. I should have screamed. I should have been afraid. But instead, I held them to my chest and breathed him in. They smelled faintly of smoke and soil, like earth turned over in a graveyard. And I thought, he's been with me longer than I ever knew. My friends saw the photos once. I shouldn't have let them, but I was too proud not to share. I thought they would understand, see the proof of his devotion. Instead, they stared at me with pity, with fear. They told me to call the police. They told me I was sick. But they don't understand. They don't hear the footsteps. They don't see the window shadows. They don't know what it feels like to be chosen. This isn't danger. This isn't madness. This is devotion. And devotion is forever. Lately, I see him more clearly. He isn't just a feeling anymore, he's everywhere. In mirrors. In the sheen of a window pane at night. In the dull shine of the kettle on the stove. His face presses forward, warped and stretched by the surface, like he's straining against the thin film that separates his world from mine. And that face. Too pale. Too long. Skin pulled taut like old parchment, eyes nothing but pits, endless and hollow. His mouth is the worst, too wide, too still, a smile that doesn't belong to flesh. I tell myself it's fine. He's only showing me more because he trusts me. But trust feels heavier than it should. It weighs on my chest when I sleep, it scratches at the inside of my skull when I'm awake. And now, he whispers back. My name. Over and over. From under the bed. From inside the walls. From the cold pane of the mirror when I lean too close. His voice is a rasp, brittle and wet, like something trying to speak through waterlogged lungs. Last night, I stood in front of the mirror and raised my hand. Slowly, almost lovingly. He mirrored me, but not perfectly. His movements stuttered. Jerky, broken. His fingers bent wrong, crooked, bending backwards where mine could not. But still, I didn't pull away. Still, I couldn't look away. Because if he can reach through the glass, maybe he can finally touch me. I locked myself in the bathroom last night, trembling on the cold tile. I thought the brightness of the bulb above me, the sharp smell of bleach, the hard white walls would keep him out. But the bulb flickered. And with every pulse of light, he was closer. At first, he hovered in the farthest corner of the mirror, his frame tall and bent, barely visible. Then the light stuttered again, and he was halfway across the reflection, his head cocked at that impossible angle. Another flicker. And he was right behind me. I felt it, his presence, heavy and sour, the air thick with the stink of damp soil and rot. His grin split too wide, showing teeth too many, too sharp. I spun around. The room was empty. But the mirror wasn't. He stayed there, waiting. Patient. Unmoving. His hand pressed against the glass, thin and gray, the nails long and cracked. The surface trembled beneath his touch, like water just before it breaks. That's when I realized. He doesn't need doors. He doesn't need windows. He has always been inside the reflections. Inside the silence. Inside me. I think he's been waiting for me to understand. And now that I do, I know what comes next. It's 3:07 again. The clock ticks once, and then it dies, silent, frozen, as though time itself has stopped to watch. The air grows heavy, pressing down on my chest until every breath feels stolen. My door swings open on its own, groaning slow, like a throat straining to speak. The room breathes in. And so do I. I'm not running this time. I'm not afraid. I've been waiting for this. Haven't I? Because love is patient. Love is eternal. And devotion never lets go. The mirror quivers first. Its surface ripples, as if the glass has turned to liquid. My reflection vanishes, swallowed by the dark, and in its place, him. He is clearer than ever before. His eyes are bottomless holes, swallowing all light. His grin splits his face too wide, stretching until the corners tear. His fingers, long, gray, and crooked, press through the trembling surface, dripping with something black and thick. I don't flinch. I don't scream. When his arm pushes through, I step forward. His touch is ice, wet, and rough, like soil dragged straight from a grave. The stench of earth and rot fills my lungs, but I don't resist. I only open myself wider to him. The glass bends outward like skin, birthing him into my room. His body pours through in stuttering motions, bones cracking with each lurch. His neck twists, his jaw snaps, but his smile never falters. And when he finally stands before me, towering, broken, wrong, his head bows low, pressing against mine. His breath is rancid, thick with decay. Still, I lean in. Because this is love. His arms stretch wide, enveloping me. The cold swallows my warmth, the dark seeps into my skin. My heart stutters, then slows, then falters under his grip. And as everything fades, I hear his voice for the first time, clear and certain, whispering inside my skull. You're mine. The room exhales. The clock does not start again. And in the silence, I finally understand. He hadn't been waiting to love me. He'd been waiting to take me. After all. He's waited long enough.